KUGAN CASSIUS here with Matthew Macklin. Matt, this week from Las Vegas, Mayweather in his apparent last fight against Andre Berto. First of all, do you think it will be Mayweather's last fight, Matt?
No, not a chance. Not why? When he's so easy and he's enjoying it and loving it and making all the money, which we know he loves. No, I think this is his last fight on the Showtime deal, and I think he'll probably box on NBC on the PB, and he'll probably get rid of the belts and he'll just fight for the PBC Championship, and that'll be the big launch of it. Really, I know it's already been launched, but I think that'll be when it'll really sort of take off.
I mean, a lot of people were surprised about his opponent selection for the 12th, and a lot of people were saying, they were looking maybe for a more competitive fight than Berto, but it's not Berto's fault. He's been chosen, and he'll come to bring it.
Yeah, you can't blame Berto. I mean, everyone wants to fight Mayweather in and around that division. He's the main man. He's the man. So everyone wants a shot at the title. But and Berto's been in great fights. He has been a world champion. And look, he maybe could have picked, I think, better fights that are probably fighters that are in better form at the minute. Like Amir Khan, I think for one, definitely would have been a better fight. But it's hard to really knock Mayweather. I mean, if you look at Cotto, Canelo, and Pacquiao, probably the three best fighters of this generation, in terms of opponents in and around his weight division. He's fought all three and beat all three comfortably. So, like if it's Berto or it's Guerrero or Khan or Thurman or whoever it is, it's how can you really discredit him or knock him? It's just, you can't.
If Mayweather is to fight again, undoubtedly it will probably be next May. Now, obviously, it will probably depend around, who's current and who's, around the scene at the time, because you couldn't guess it was going to be Berto for September, so we could never guess if he is to fight again who that will be in May.
You don't know what he's thinking, do you? And there's so many probably other things going on, underlying things, and like Al Heyman's his advisor, manager. You wouldn't know what their big plan is, and so I'm sure there's a few things variables that come into play that we're not even aware of, why they choose which opponent they choose. But it was a bit. I was surprised the Berto fight. I mean, I thought Keith Thurman and Amir Khan would have probably had stronger cases for it, but. And look, I think Amir Khan's an awkward fight for him. I think I wouldn't bet against Mayweather. Don't get me wrong, definitely not. But I think his speed and his movement, it'd be a tricky fight for him, which he probably didn't want. And or maybe they're saving it for the big one when they're going to go on NBC in May. If they're going to go on NBC, everything's so hush hush. You don't know. We're all just surmising and guessing. But listen, at the end of the day, I couldn't criticise Mayweather and Berto. He's a good fighter. He's been a world champion. He's been in great fights. So fair play to him.
But the official word from the team is that, they're playing this as his last fight, and that might be what he's thinking. You don't know. That's the whole thing about this old Mayweather, situation, that you never know what he's thinking as in opponent-wise, or whether this will be his last fight or not. So.
No, you don't know, and it is possible, but I wouldn't say probable. It's possible, but I doubt it.
You said it was your last fight a few years ago, didn't you? You fought recently.
I've been saying that since about 2010. I've probably got the biggest love-hate relationship with boxing than anyone I know. I'm getting divorced every week.
Also on the card, obviously, this week sees our own George Groves take on Badou Jack for the WBC super middleweight title. Hopefully it's going to be third time lucky for George Groves. Yeah,
I think so. I mean, his first fight with Frotch was such a classic, wasn't it? Even the second one, it was nip and tuck till he got caught. Look, I thought Frotch was on top, don't get me wrong, but he's on that level. He was in that level of the fight. And he's he's gone away to Big Bear. He's done his own thing. He obviously knows what works for him, and I think he probably beat Badou Jack. Badou Jack's a good fighter, don't get me wrong, but I think the two Frotch fights will have come on a lot from both of them, even the whole experience of it all. So fighting on the big Mayweather card, I think he'll just he'll revel in that. He'll soak it all up, and I think it'll help him perform even better.
Obviously, having those two world title fights at home and now having obviously to travel away, how much of a difference will that make to George Groves?
I don't think a lot, because when he was in his early days, when he was with Adam Booth and Haymaker Promotions, he travelled quite a lot, and he's fought in Vegas before, and he's been down a few times and he's got back up and won fights. So he's got plenty of character, plenty of self-belief, and he's not everyone's cup of tea, but whether you like him or you don't, you have to say he's a good fighter, and he's got his own plan, his own path, and he's following it. So good luck to him.
One fight I will ask you about, which I know you'll obviously be interested in, is obviously Golovkin and Lemieux, which is on October the 17th. What are your thoughts about this fight, Matt?
I think Golovkin destroys him. I think Lemieux's very dangerous. He's got a really quick counter left hook, and he's explosive, and knock your head off with it, no doubt. But other than that, because I was scheduled to fight him a couple of times, or he was talked about, and so I watched him clearly. And when I fought Alcine, the fight he'd had before me was Lemo, so I'd watched a lot of that fight, so I'd seen a lot of him then. But look, very, very dangerous first 3 rounds, but can't fight going back. Decent, good fighter, but apart from his big left hook, he's nothing special. And where Golovkin is special, he's the full package. He can box, he can fight, he can punch, he's got a good chin. I mean, at the minute, it's hard to see what his weakness is. I'm sure he has got them because everyone does, he's only human. But bar him walking onto something stupid, I can only see one winner there, and in decisive fashion.
Would you say Lemieux was the best opponent Golovkin would have fought in his career so far, or not?
No, I don't think the best, but probably the most dangerous. Yeah, probably the most dangerous, not the best.
All right, well, listen, Matt, thanks for talking to the CASSIUS and Elder show. Obviously, we look forward to future announcements. You've got a fight coming up soon in October, so best of luck with that, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah, cheers. Looking forward to it myself.